Before COVID, I, 39F, used to think I'm the best example of a working mom who can handle everything and that my husband, 37M, K, is just a slightly better version of your stereotypical man-child husband who spends more time on games than with me or our kids, 11F and 7M. I work in corporate law while he works in the pharmaceutical industry, so when all this started, I was trapped at home, and he was still working since it's more his field. I still maintained my usual schedule as I would at work, and my commute time was used to check up on kids and make sure they ate lunch and were attending classes. I did notice K's efforts with the kids as he took care of homework while he played his video games and did one of his only 2 chores, which was cooking. Little did I know how taxing cooking 3 meals for 4 can be. We were very rarely intimate and only when I initiated, and even then sometimes he would just say he was tired. When we were intimate, I'd just end up doing all the work or just get turned off by his lack of enthusiasm and effort. I honestly contemplated leaving him or just starting an affair multiple times. I was exhausted and felt like the only one putting any effort into our family and relationship. Then last month, Kay tested positive and was quarantined in the basement for 2 weeks. I took time off from work since I felt like I would have even more responsibilities, and it would be a nice excuse to just take a break. It was a good decision because I found out how much Kay is involved with everything. He is a far more involved parent than I am. He managed to keep these 2 kids happy and entertained all the time. I never thought it was this hard. On top of that, cooking is not as easy as it seems. It's very difficult to think of what to cook and make sure you can make it in time for all 3 meals. I don't really get a lot of the kids' homework. All this was so long ago and so irrelevant today for me that my husband eventually had to tag in. Despite his health, he managed to play with them using video calls. He is so creative. I never really appreciated that. He role-played by pretending to be a character from a Disney TV show while my daughter and son pretended to play a platypus and a mad scientist. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. He even gave them weird tasks and went on scavenger hunts to keep them entertained. Had he not been involved in this, I would have just had a mental breakdown dealing with 2 bored kids after all I did every day. I started self-analyzing my role in the kids' lives. Sure, I knew their teachers, doctors, allergies, and stuff like that, but that was the minimum. I realized that my schedule is very self-serving. We both work full-time, but I get back around 7 while he comes home by 5. When I come back, I usually see him playing video games, and I would go on a run for about a minute, then come back and shower, and dinner would be prepared, and our lunch boxes would be in the fridge for the next day. After dinner, I would watch my TV shows and then meet him in bed around 11. And if I initiated and he felt like it, we'd be intimate. This entire day, the only time I interacted with the kids was during dinner. This revelation honestly shocked me. I don't even tuck them in or anything. In the morning, he wakes them up, gets them ready for school, and, when in person, drops them off before heading to work. He is also the one who picks them up. On the other hand, I wake up leisurely, eat the breakfast already on the table, and then leave for work. During weekends, I get to have a girls' night on Saturdays and brunch on Sundays religiously, and he sometimes goes to meet his friends on Fridays but stays in often because I make him complain or start arguments as I feel neglected. After this self-analysis, I started monitoring my husband, just hoping for a slip-up that showed he's just as bad as me, because honestly, I couldn't take the fact that I was so hands-off. He is constantly playing and hanging with the kids. The hour of video games that I felt was so selfish of him is literally the only hour in the day that he gets to himself. When I'm watching my TV shows, he's still playing with them. Sometimes they play Minecraft. I took a peek in their world and they've made huge structures, and sometimes they play with action figures and dolls. He's so engrossed in it that it's like he's one of the kids. He does all of this while sitting on the ground next to me with them. All the times I feel like he doesn't show me affection, he constantly rubs my calf or lays his head against my knees as I sit on the couch, so focused on these dumb reality TV shows to notice. No wonder he's always so exhausted by the end of the day. Last weekend I decided to stay home rather than go out, and I saw them play with their homemade snakes and ladders game on Saturday night. On Sunday after breakfast, they brought out a huge box of junk, which they then used to make their own command center for their spaceship and roleplay for the next 2 hours. I never knew they made these things. I felt so left out and awkward because I wanted to get involved like Kay but just didn't see any place for myself. I don't think they'll ever be as engaged with me as they are with him. I can only wonder how he's coping with all of this on his own, silently. I bet he's enjoying himself, but it seems so taxing. I feel so jealous of him and angry with myself. I've been blaming him this entire time while he's been the primary caretaker for the kids while I lived an almost childless lifestyle. How do I get better at this? They seem so content with themselves that I've been wondering, do they even need me? I feel like if I don't do something now, I'll lose my family. How much more can he sacrifice? I've already lost years with all 3 of them. Update 1. So I honestly was very scared about how to even begin, but the day after I posted, I saw an opening with my kids, and I jumped on it. So I was working in my office, and during my lunch break, I walked in on them making paper airplanes by watching a video online, and I decided to join in. As I was helping them make the planes, I could just sense this aura of confusion from them since I only ever talked about school, and when I first approached them, they had this guilty expression, and I guess I just imagined that I was there to scold them for making noise or wasting time or something. It broke my heart that my kids saw me in such a negative light. I always thought I would be the fun parent who hangs out with kids and stuff, But I can clearly see I am nowhere near that image I had. I don't even think I can call myself a parent, honestly, at least not yet. So we spent the afternoon making and racing paper planes, and this gave me the idea of doing origami with them. I used to love origami in college. So I ordered a stack of origami paper when I returned to work. The rest of the day was still the same, with me working, my husband coming home, and after playing games and making dinner, I went for my run. After dinner, I was still unsure how to approach my husband, and we just continued our routine. At bedtime, I told my husband to relax and that I'd take them to bed and tuck them in. My daughter was surprisingly very happy with this, but my son insisted that only his father could tuck him in, so we took one kid each. This did hurt my feelings, but I guess I shouldn't expect them to take me back, seeing as I have been absent emotionally for so long. While tucking her in, she did tell me how much fun it was making paper airplanes and quietly asked if we could do it again tomorrow. I quite enthusiastically said yes and stayed there till she fell asleep. When I came out, my husband was already in bed on his phone. He looked exhausted. We didn't talk much, and I just got changed and climbed in. Usually I'm finishing my shows, but I came in early. I was expecting a reaction from him, but he didn't say anything. I was about to bring up everything from my last post but chickened out and just went to sleep instead. I don't know how to even begin talking to him about it. I thought of showing him my last post, but I don't think I can. I mentioned how I contemplated starting an affair since I felt my needs weren't being met, and I can't let my K know how close I was to destroying everything. He was cheated on before by an ex, and it broke him for a good year and a half. I don't want him to think there is something to worry about because there isn't. At the same time, it's just impossible to talk to him since I can't face him or look him in the eyes and tell him how I've been blaming him for my own failures for so long and letting resentment build against him. How does one even go about it? So this is what's been happening every day for the past 5 days. I've been doing origami with the kids during lunch and tucking my daughter in at night, although I attempt to do it for both my kids every time. I've also been waking up early for breakfast and have been cutting down on my running time so that I can just sit at the table with the kids while they do their homework. I tried helping my husband with cooking, but he just pushes me out since he has his own system and doesn't want it disturbed. I have also been returning his affections post-dinner when they play Minecraft while I watch TV. While he rubs my calf every now and then and lays his head against my knee, I play lightly with his hair. I know he likes to be patted and used to do it all the time when we were dating. He was a little startled at first, but now he just smiles when I do it. Our nights haven't changed, as we both just sit in bed on our phones, and he just looks exhausted. I know I can't make any meaningful change until I talk to him, but it's just so hard. I just don't know what to do. I mean, I know what to do, but I just can't do it because it seems so scary. How do people do this? So that's what's happened so far. I plan on talking this out with my in-laws since they have treated me like their own daughter since day one, and hopefully they can help me talk to my husband about this. It used to be so easy to talk to Kay about anything, and he would have the best response to everything. How did I become this person who can't even talk to the most understanding and sweetest man I've ever known? I wish he could just read my mind, give me his melting smile, and just hold me, tell me everything is going to be fine, and just never let go. Update 2. So it's been a while since I last posted, and a lot has happened, and something that happened recently reminded me of this account. Let's start at the beginning. I recently realized that I was or am a terrible partner and wife who's been checked out for at least the last 4 years. I came here for help and have been trying to improve. The week after my original post, I made some effort to get involved with the kids and had been getting along with my son, but my daughter was still hesitant, and my husband was oblivious to my revelations and efforts. I was too scared to talk to him about these things, and no matter how much I prepared myself, I always chickened out. More on this later. So after I made my update post, my husband came to me late the next day after work, looking miserable. Apparently he'd been given so much work that he couldn't spend any time with us for the foreseeable future, and he said that he wanted my help with the kids. Honestly, it felt like he wasn't asking his partner for help but begging a stranger for any kind of assistance. That hurt so bad. Of course, seeing this as another opportunity to be the partner and mother they deserve, I jumped on it. I made sure to tell him that he doesn't need to ask me like that they were my kids as well, that he's my husband, and that I'll do whatever I can to help and support him out. After I said that, the expression of pure relief and delight will forever be imprinted in my memory. How bad must I've been for him to find such joy in me just doing my bare minimum duty? So for the next few weeks, I became the primary caregiver for the kids. He's still helping with homework, while I couldn't help at all. I tried taking it over for a few days, but it took 3 times as long for us to finish it since I had to look things up for my daughter, and we ended up staying past the kids' bedtime. So instead, I decided on making dinner, but my husband interrupted and ordered takeout. Apparently the reason my husband has cooked our entire relationship is because I'm a terrible one and he didn't want me to know. What does he even see in me? I can't cook, I can't help with homework, and I can't be an involved mother or partner. At that point, I felt so defeated that I'm sure I physically expressed it, because he just gave me a back hug, smiled, and said that he loved me. I didn't let this stop me, and I decided if I couldn't help out in these ways, there were other things I could do. I decided to make sure that I knew everything about my kids and would help them or even entertain them any way I could. So every day after work, instead of going on the run, I took my daughter on walks while my son rode his bicycle around the block. Since the days are longer now, I thought this would be a fun activity. During this time, I now know that my girl wants to be a scientist like her dad. She likes this ice cream shop in a mall nearby, which only has a few flavors but tastes amazing. She wants to learn Korean. My husband has been helping her with some basic Korean for months now since he learned it to impress my family. I didn't know this, yet another failure on my part, so she can talk with my parents in their native language. She loves K-pop, and her favorite group is Mamamoo. It looks like she has my taste in music. And she wants to learn how to do her hair. So since then, I've been talking to her in Korean, since it's my native language, during our walks, and I've been helping her with the workbooks my husband got. Surprisingly, she's been picking it up really fast and has inspired my son to learn it as well. Every night I've been tucking both of them in, and when I get to bed, my husband is just waiting for me to learn about my day, and after so long, we've finally been getting intimate, and it's been amazing. The weekend pretend games they used to play with their father still happen, but he has asked me to sub in a few times so he can work. Well, I have to say my kids are incredible at making up scenarios and then just improvising as it goes. Clearly, they learned it from my husband. Despite all his good qualities, I know for a fact that he's an incredible tail spinner and can lie through his teeth, and you would never find out or even suspect him. It honestly used to terrify me when I first saw him do it, but he has been nothing but honest with me throughout our entire relationship since he doesn't like it when he lies. So during these games, I still feel the odd one out, but my kids don't pick up on that. Sure, I'm not as great as their father, but I think at this point, I can hold my own. I've tried doing their improvising thing or coming up with scenarios, and although they love it, I can tell you, I say some of the most cringy, cheesy lines and ideas you have ever heard, and I can audibly hear my husband hold back his laughter when he hears them. This brings us to yesterday morning. My daughter wanted to play Mario Kart with my husband, but he said he was a bit busy, but he could watch and asked her to ask me. I've never played this game, but I said yes. Suddenly, I could see it in my husband's eyes. The gears in his head started turning. He said that we should play after lunch. Post-lunch, he came out with his cardboard box with slits in it and an empty soda can attach to the back. So here's the rule, we're supposed to drive the car like an actual car. If we move forward, then we have to press the accelerator. If we drift, we have to press the brakes. We use the switch steering wheel things to play. My son was to see our feet in the game to make sure the rules are followed. If you fail, then you get a 3-second penalty each time. It was so much fun that we played for hours, but let me tell you, this was the hardest thing ever, and I could honestly say we both hated him and my son for making us play like this. It was so hard, but it was worth it because afterwards my daughter asked if we could play like this every weekend, and let me tell you, that made me feel like I had just accomplished something amazing. Despite it, I could just feel the hesitance and desperation behind that request. She still had her guard up. I don't really blame her. I've been a shy mom. After we put the kids to sleep, my husband confessed something to me. After I wrote my last update, I forgot to log out, and my husband, who is an avid Redditor, found the account and read through everything. These past few weeks, he has been testing to see if I would actually do something with these epiphanies I've had, or am I just going to revert back or quit halfway? He never had that additional work. He has just been playing games on his laptop while monitoring my actions to see if I really meant everything I said in my previous posts. He said that he is willing to work towards fixing things and that he loves me, but he doesn't completely trust me either. He said he's been alone in this relationship for quite a while, and these weeks of having an actual active partner have been more liberating than he thought they would be. He made it clear that, although he was content with the way things used to be, he was considering separating since everything just felt like a burden. He was putting on an act every time he entered the house. Always smiling, laughing, and entertaining everyone and their needs. He wants to get counseling to fix this because he's made it clear that if he ever feels like things are going back the way they used to be, he's going to leave because, after experiencing everything these past few weeks, he refuses to go back to it. So I guess I barely made it in time. This is literally my last opportunity to fix my relationships. I'm glad I got my head out of my buttocks in time, because I may have lost this amazing man forever. I know for a fact that if he asked for a divorce a few months ago, I would have laughed to his face, run there myself, and made a huge spectacle about it because I was so far up my ass I would have entered it twice. Thank you everyone for listening to me and advising me. I even welcome the hate, because I deserve so much worse than that. I hope I can fix this, because if he leaves me, there will be no one but myself to blame for this.